Kate Mulafalcha, welcome to Irish Granny Helen. Um, I have done very little research for what I'm going to talk about, so you'll forgive me if I get a few things wrong. I'm not much of a fashionista. I really think it's a huge waste of money. And recently, they had the Met Gala. The Met Gala is just this atrocious confluence of snotty, egotistical, self-centered, wealthy people. It's a fundraiser, but really what it's about is being seen. And they wear outlandish things. There's a theme every year, and the outfit they wear has to conform in some way to the theme. And this particular year, it was about famous artwork. They raised money for the Fashion Institute, I think is Los Angeles, or the museum or something. It doesn't matter. It's an ego trip. It's a gigantic ego trip. And this year it was sponsored by the Bezos, the newlyweds. And Lauren Sanchez Bezos, the bride of Jeff Bezos, showed up in this black dress that was underwhelming, but she was supposedly copying a famous painting, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But I really didn't know much about her, and I remember looking at their wedding. I did a video on their wedding because it was just an appalling display of ego and money in hard times. Read the room. And I decided that it would be interesting to talk about this as just another example of I can't say it, I don't want to get in trouble. So Lauren Sanchez, to my surprise, is a third generation, I think, Mexican American. Her early years were studying journalism. She went into announcing, like, what's the word I want? Being like the talking head on a couple of TV shows in LA. She then was in a competition of sorts to be a host on The View, and she was number 2. She didn't get the job. She was one of the hosts on So You Think You Can Dance, the very first season. She left because I guess she had a baby. She ended up, marrying Jeff Bezos. So I guess you could say her taste is questionable. She is a bit of an enigma, for somebody who is always in your face. And I started to wonder, like, what makes this woman tick? Well, she dressed like, for this Met Gala, she dressed like the picture of Madame X, the portrait of Madame X. And let me show you this portrait. This is a John Singer Sargent, very famous portrait. And this is Madame X. And I thought, that's kind of interesting that she would choose that. And it apparently was very scandalous because when he originally painted it, one of the straps of her gown slipped, and he painted it that way. And it was just a scandal. So he repainted it to hide the slipped strap. So this woman, Madame X, her name was Virginie Goutreau. She was an American French Creole. She emigrated from New Orleans to Paris, married a French banker twice her age. She was notorious in Parisian high society for her beauty and sexual infidelities, but she was referred to as a professional beauty. She was unconventional looking. One famous painter said that he could not stop stalking her as one does a deer. John Singer Sargent apparently felt the same way. However, rumor has it, rumor from the mouths of people that were there, that she was hideous to people. She treated people really poorly, like, waiters, maids, et cetera, et cetera. And I started to think about what an interesting choice for somebody to get attention, to develop a persona. They're very, very wealthy, patron of this gigantic, rich people fest, and show up imitating a picture of a horrible person and not do a very good job of wowing anybody by this understated skin tight dress. Oh, and this is what I heard that cracked me up. She had to lose weight to fit into this dress. And apparently she did some sort of rigorous firefighters training with the firefighters, like crawling around in mud. And she lost a lot of weight to fit into this dress. 4.5 pounds. I'm sorry. So I thought it'd be fun to ask the cards about the karmic relationship between Lauren Bezos Sanchez and Madam X. Is there one? Just a coincidence? I just couldn't get it out of my mind. I don't usually obsess about the Met Gala, so just to let you know, although I was mad that Kim Kardashian wore Marilyn Monroe's iconic JFK birthday dress and destroyed it because she busted out the seams. Okay. I want this to be really stirred up here. Okay. Need to make room here. Oops. To make room. Okay. Okay, I would say there's trouble in paradise. That's my first impression. My next impression is, speaking of Mrs. Bezos, and this is just for fun. I don't want Jeff Bezos coming after me. This is just for fun. Trying to understand the rich, trying to understand such a strange choice. So there's a sense of not, I'm going to cover this, of not feeling, this is her, she's got this insecurity. You would think it's all about ego. Well, ego, narcissists are really extremely insecure. There's this enormous insecurity that, this is the star reversed, that she's not garnering the praise and attention she feels she deserves, which is an endless bucket of it, crossed by the wheel of fortune. And I think this is an indication of her own sense of her own self-importance, that I'm fated to be a star, but also her karmic relationship to positions of celebrity. And there's some sort of karmic driver that pushes her to seek attention and be, famous. Interesting. Over it all, I got the King of Pentacles. Now, this is in the atmosphere. This has a double meaning. Of course, this is Jeff Bezos, but this is also his Lord and Master. You know who I always get this for. These are people that are driven by the lack of values. I would call them empty values. That's a contradiction in term. By the vacuum the moral vacuum that is the love of money. And at the foundation, the Seven of Cups, they live in an alternate life. It's a delusionary existence of fantasy, cosplaying, insulating themselves in their delusion from what reality really is. And this is, she feels like, okay, I got married to this guy. I'm now Mrs. Bezos. I am a winner. She feels very much like her position now is unassailable. And people are just eaten alive with the jealousy because of what she's managed to do. In the near future, we get the Five of Wands reversed with the Six of Wands, the Five of Wands. I think that's interesting. The Five of Wands reversed, I think there's a honeymoon period that's happening now. I don't believe that's going to last, because for her, we get the Queen of Swords reversed. I think she has herself deluded and everybody else fooled. She's kind of cold-hearted, self-centered, and I don't think that she tells herself the truth, if that makes sense. She lies to herself. She lies to other people. She doesn't care about fairness. There's a coldness and a self-centeredness about her. And this comes from a fear. The Nine of Cups reversed. There's this enormous fear of not being enough, not having enough, not being loved enough, not having enough attention. It's never enough. She never feels secure, self-satisfied. And once again, interestingly, did I say the Wheel of Fortune? Maybe I said the wrong thing. I don't know. But once again, we get this indication of karma, the world. She is, I mean, this card is a crack up. If you look at it, there's a woman running the world in the center of the world. She's the center of everything. It's overwhelming ego. It's a sense of power and control. And, it's true, when you have that much money. I think he's the fourth richest person in the world. Most of her decisions in life have been made from consideration of power, money, position. That's the outcome for her, which she will always feel like she has to defend. This is, I think there's trouble in paradise. And by that, I mean, at the moment, they have a honeymoon period. But I feel like we're looking at unbelievable insecurity in the face of unbelievable wealth. So we have a person who has an inflated sense of self with no foundation. It's delusion, it's illusion, it's insecurity. So I don't think any of that is surprising, actually. But let's ask about this relationship to Madame X, because I think that's so interesting. So interesting. Why would she pick Madame X? Does she not know the history of this woman? It would be, I think, embarrassing to associate yourself in any way with a person who was just considered reprehensible. In maybe she was of great beauty. I mean, that's debatable. But is that all that matters to her? Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. Why would she, what is the association with Madame Uh, this is interesting. I think this is her, the Queen of Pentacles reversed, crossed by the Three of Pentacles. I think she wanted to present herself as even better than this famous rich beauty, this iconic painting. Let me find the painting of the woman who was considered most beautiful and had a lot of money and was really well known. I can one up her. And interestingly enough, the Three of Pentacles, this is a woman who did not play well with others. She wants to one up her. That's the phrase that comes to mind. Interestingly enough, we get the Seven of Cups again, this time in the atmosphere instead of the foundation. The Seven of Cups is her own foundation, but it's the atmosphere over this decision. So she lives a life of illusion. She's deluded. She's living a fantasy life, the unreality of the rich. And that's what governed her decision to be this person. She wants to be richer, more beautiful, more famous, just like walking onto the Met Gala platform, the red carpet, and people go, ah, that's what she hoped to do. She's desperate to, this is in her recent past, the Four of Pentacles, desperate to retain, grasp, image, attention, reputation. And once again, in her near future, we get the Five of Wands reversed. I think this comes from her insecurity, her fear of criticism. She wants to allay criticism. She wants to be associated with beauty and famous art and just famous women, and put herself on a level, and it's truly deluded, but put herself on a level that shuts people up and makes them stop criticizing her. And that's also what the foundation, the Eight of Wands reversed. She really wants to protect herself from negative publicity and negative conversation, gossip. This is her. Two of Wands reversed. Really interesting. In the environment of the Three of Wands, this is somebody whose actions take no consideration for their long-term implications in an environment where everybody else in the world is worried about the future, and she's lost in this world of fantasy, this dress-up fantasy that she's living in. And Temperance reversed. I just feel like this is self-explanatory. Her worldview is out of balance. Her sense of self is diluted. Her desire to associate herself with this rich woman is ill-informed because this was not a nice person. And if you think that rising above criticism by associating yourself with somebody who is famous for being snotty and unkind and rude, bad decision, not going to be successful. This effort to associate herself with the Met Gala, with the fancy clothes, with the famous painting, the truth of the whole matter is coming out, and it's not going to support this delusion that she's living out. Shall we do one more question about their relationship? Let's do that. Let me find a different deck here. Let's look at their relationship. Okay, I'm going to make a prediction. What the heck, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But when I look at these cards, I would say there will be trouble in paradise. The Knight of Swords. The truth is going to come out. What is the truth? Seven of Pentacles. An effort for money and power. Striving. What's the result of that? The Four of Swords, needing to retreat. And the Nine of Pentacles, reversed. The loss of luxury, the loss of power and position, the loss of a comfortable situation. I'm just saying, doesn't bode well, does not bode well. So that was just a little fun exploration of a very odd, I thought, presentation at the Met Gala. Let me know what you think. So thank you very much for watching Slongafoil Slancha.